Hey, it's Avi from JustWriteMusic.com. What's up? Today we're talking about some chord progressions that really pack a punch. These are seriously gorgeous, at least I think so, and I pull out all of the advanced harmony that I know in order to make these as expressive as possible, so that you can use them in your songs. I'm doing this for you. As the title says, each of these chord progressions also share a secret. They are connected with one another, and I will reveal what that secret is at the end of the video. Here's a quick tip though. We talked about it recently. That's all you get. I'll be using my guitar over here to play these chord progressions for example purposes, but you could play them on any harmonic instrument that you want, be it a keyboard or whatever. With that, let's jump into our first progression. C add 9, going to a B flat 6 sharp 11, right? From there going to an A minor 7, and from there going to a G add 11. Beautiful. Oh my god. Ugh. Let's take a look at our first chord, the C add 9. Now the first part of this chord is just a regular old open C chord. Easy peasy. The add 9 is where things really start to happen. Now a 9, when we're talking about harmony, is just a second above the octave. And the second is the note above the root of the chord. And the root of the chord in this case is C, which means our second is D. So all we need to do is throw a D into our C chord. The one I chose was the D right over here on the 3rd fret of the B string. Gorgeous. Gorgeous! So what I think really makes this chord stand out is the fact that we have this dissonance between the D and the E over here. Right? This is a major second, and it's not, the most dissonant, but it's certainly not the most consonant either. On its own, it sounds kind of intense, but when you put it in the context of the C chord, it is suddenly amazingly gorgeous. Ain't that nuts? Next is the B flat 6 sharp 11. I adore this chord. It is just gorgeous. I'm gonna be saying gorgeous a lot. You're gonna have to get used to that. But I think this sounds really, really great, especially coming right after the C add 9. Right? All right, what's going on with this chord though? So if C is our 1, that means B would be our 7, right? Because it's below. But it's not just a B, this is a B flat, which means it's not a regular 7, it's a flat 7. So what about that 6? It's really not that big a deal. A 6 chord is just a regular old major or minor chord, but you add the 6th on top of it. In this case, our 6th is G, and it's really easy to let that ring out. We're just letting the open G ring. Just like that. So then we have our D up here. Now for that scary sharp 11. The 11 is just the 4 above the octave, kind of like the 9th. That pound sign or hashtag is actually a sharp symbol when it comes to music and stuff, and the sharp 11 means that we want to take our regular 11 and just raise it up a half step. The 4 in a B flat chord is an E flat. But remember, we wanted to raise it up, that sharp 11. So we take that E flat and we raise it up to an E natural. Just like that. This is super easy to do on the guitar because all we need to do is let that open E string ring, right? So back to this chord. Gorgeous. See, I told you I'd be saying that a lot. So the next chord in our progression is the A minor 7. Now, this is actually a pretty standard chord. There's not a whole lot going on here. We're just taking our normal A minor and adding a 7th on top of it. A 7th is the note below the root, or below the octave. In this case, we're taking the 7 of A minor, which is a G natural, and just gonna pop it right up here on the G on top of the high E there. That's it. That's it. See how easy it is to take a regular old open chord and add some beautiful color to it, right? That was simple. It's just A minor, plop that G on top of it. Done. Last is the G add 11. This is actually quite similar to our C add 9. If you're following along with me on the guitar, we're gonna start with our regular old G major chord. Except we're gonna use an alternate fingering. We're gonna use the 2, 3, 4 fingering with our 2nd, 3rd, and 4th fingers. We just discussed the 11th in the B flat 6 sharp 11 chord, so we already know that it's just the 4th above the octave. So we need to figure out what the 4th of a G chord is. And in this case, it's a C. G, A, B, C. You can just use your fingers to count this stuff. It's super easy, barely an inconvenience. So when we're playing our normal G chord, we just take our 1st finger and put it on the 1st fret of the B string. Ooh, suddenly things aren't quite so clear as they were. I could strum this all day. Let's hear this progression in action. So that was our first chord progression. Not too shabby. Moving on to number 2. So for our second chord progression, we're starting off with a C major 7. And we're gonna go from the C major 7 to an E minor 7 over B. And from there, we're gonna take this E minor 7, we're gonna shove it on down to an F add 9 over A. Ooh. And from here, we're gonna do another F chord, except we're gonna do an F9 over G. It's gonna sound like this. So we're starting on C again, except this time we're not doing an add 9, we're doing a major 7 chord. So just like our minor 7 chord and our A minor 7 chord from the last progression, we're just taking a 7th and throwing it on top of a C chord. So what's the 7th of C? Well, the 7th is just the note below the root or below the octave, so C below C is B. There we go, B. And it's not a B flat this time, we're just a regular 7. Cool beans. So let's take our regular C chord, and we're just going to release our first finger. That's all we're gonna do to do this chord. This is the easiest C major 7 you will ever play. And it sounds crazy good, yeah. Next is that E minor 7 over B chord. Now this isn't a crazy hard chord, but there is some stuff going on that we gotta talk about. So it's another minor 7th chord. We're taking our E minor, finding the 7th. The note below E is D, and we have to find a spot to put this D, right? So we're gonna take our regular old E minor chord, and well, there's a D right on the B string on the 3rd fret that we used before for the C add 9. Let's just use that again. That's just really easy. Gorgeous. But hold up, this isn't a root position chord. Remember when it said slash and over B and that type of stuff? So this is an inversion or a slash chord. An inversion or a slash chord represents a chord voicing where the root is not the lowest note. The root is not in the bass. So all we need to do is make sure that the E is not the lowest note and that B is the lowest note. Now thankfully, in our E minor 7 chord over here, B is actually the next note we hit after the open E. So all we need to do is not hit the open E, or you can block it with your thumb, like that. Beautiful. Our 3rd chord is the F add 9 over A. More fun stuff happening here. We already know the deal with an add 9. All we have to do is take the note above the root and put it in the chord. So if we're doing an F add 9, the note after F is G. Cool. So we're gonna use a regular open F chord like this, but we need to add the G, right? So we're gonna use the G that's on the 3rd fret of the high E string. But this is another slash chord. It's asking us to have an A in the bass. Now when we play a regular old F chord like this, normally the rule is not to hit the low E or the open A string. Since we need an A in the bass, hit the open A string. Right? So here's the F add 9. And here's the F add 9 over A. It's a different sound, right? Same chord, but it has a different feel to it because it's a different voicing. The last chord in this progression is that F9 over G. Up until now, we've had add 9s and add 11s, but we haven't had any regular old 9s or 11s. So what's the deal? This means that we need to include all of the chord tones before the 9th. Especially the 3rd and the 7th. You can exclude the 5th if you want to, because that's more structural than expressive, and because I said so. So we need F, A, C, and E all in the chord. But we gotta fit a G in there. In fact, the G is supposed to be in the bass. This one's a little bit tricky. So we're here at our F add 9 over G. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take this, and we're gonna pop our 3rd finger up to the G on the low E, and our pinky is gonna go where our 3rd finger was. So we're hitting the G here, and our 3rd finger is also blocking this A, which is what we want. And then we have the F, A, C, E, just like we need for the full F9 chord. Ooh. So that's our F9 over G chord. Let's hear this progression in action. Okay, that was progression number 2. Let me know how you do with it. Yeah, capping things off with our third gorgeous chord progression, starting off with an E minor 9 chord. Man, there's some feels in there. We're gonna go from here to a D add 9 add 11. Oof. And from here, we're gonna go to a C add 9 sharp 11. And from there, we're gonna go to a B sus 2. Look at that. Damn. Love this. Love suspended chords. My gosh. Finally, a minor key. Okay, let's talk about this E minor 9 for a sec. So we have a 9 in there again. It's not just an add 9. So we also need to include the 7th in this chord as well. So we're gonna do a slightly different position for this E minor 9 chord. Where normally we have our E minor over here, right? And we just throw our pinky on the 3rd fret for our E minor 9. So instead, what I want you to do is take your pointer finger, we're gonna put that where our middle finger is, okay? And we're gonna take our ring finger and put that on the 4th fret of the D string, right over here. And then we're gonna take our middle finger and put that where our pinky was. And you wanna strum all 6 strings for this, gonna let that low E loose, because this is not an inversion. Guys, I can't handle this chord. It's really hitting me. Jesus. Now this next chord is something. I often see different names for it, but the name I'm gonna use today is the D add 9 add 11. So we have just a regular old D major chord, but we're adding a 9 and adding an 11 on top of that. So really we're just adding 2 and 4 above the octave. No biggie, that's just an E and a G. Now here's a neat little trick to playing this chord, and if you already play guitar, you may have noticed what was going on there. Just take your regular open C chord and move it up a whole step, or 2 frets, so that your 3rd finger is on the 5th fret. Whoa, 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 this chord exists. And it's so easy to play. Every guitarist knows this open C, and we're just moving it up a whole step. Beautiful. So really simple to execute, but man, is that just a crazy gorgeous chord. So next we're using our old friend, the C add 9 again, except we're adding even more spice to it. We're actually gonna stay in the same exact position as our last chord, that D add 9 add 11. All we're gonna do is move this D on the 5th fret to a C on the 3rd fret. That's it, that's the only difference between these 2 chords, just 1 note. All the other notes may be staying the same, but we do need to change our fingering a little bit to make this happen. So what we wanna do is bring our pointer finger up to the 3rd fret. We're gonna bring our middle finger down where our pointer finger was on the B string, and we're gonna take our 3rd finger and put that on the F sharp on the 4th fret of the D string. So we're not gonna hit the low E in this case because this is a root position chord and it's a C. So no E, don't hit it at all, or you can just pop your pointer finger up a little bit to block it. So you don't have to worry about it. Now this is a little bit of a tricky change with your fingers and the fingering. So I'm gonna give you a neat little trick, neat little exercise that I give to every single one of my students. Take the chords that we're gonna do, we're gonna do 1 strum each, and we're gonna switch between them. Just 1 strum each. Start really slow, and really watch and focus on your fingers as they change. Now this is gonna be really, really helpful. Start slow, but slowly you're gonna get more comfortable and you can go a little bit faster. Till you get to something like that. Then at that point, you can change pretty seamlessly in the middle of a chord progression. Now the next chord, our final chord in this progression, is a B sus 2, and this really hits after that C add 9 sharp 11. So here's our C add 9 sharp 11 going to a B sus 2. Ooh. A suspended chord is when we take a chord tone from a regular major or minor chord, usually the 3rd or 5th, and we replace it with a neighboring tone, usually the 2nd, 4th, or 6th. Now these neighboring tones are non-chord tones, which is why they have such an evocative feeling. In this case we have a 2, so we're replacing the 3rd with the 2nd. And remember, the 2nd is just the note right after the root. So if we're in B, the 3rd is gonna be this D over here. So we're just gonna release that. And there's our B sus 2. So why is it that we're calling this 2 and we used 9 elsewhere, even though they're the same note, really? This is because instead of adding the note on top of the chord, we're replacing a note that's already in the chord. So we're replacing that D with the C sharp. Playing this chord is super, super easy. All you have to do is take your regular old 5-string minor bar chord and release your middle finger. Done. We did it. That's all you need to do. It's great. Move back and forth to it. It sounds great. And it sounds great in the context of this progression as well. At least I think so. I love sus chords or suspended chords because they take away that concrete expression of the major and minor chord. Major chords tend to sound really bright, right? Minor chords sound a little bit darker. But the suspended chord is more nuanced and vague. And in my opinion, this allows us to convey maybe some more complex emotions and feelings than a major or minor chord could do on their own. Let's see this chord progression in action. That's it. That's the end. Those are my 3 gorgeous chord progressions. At least I think they're gorgeous. You let me know if you think they are too down in the comments, or you can tell me that they're not gorgeous and you can say that my taste in chords is terrible. That's fine too. But what about that secret? What do all these different types of chords and these different chord progressions share? What could they share with each other? Well, each one of these chord progressions uses a lament bass. Now, we talked about lament basses in a recent video, but in case you haven't seen that, a lament bass is when we move down from 1 to 5 by step in descending order. And every single one of these chord progressions do exactly that. Pretty neat, right? All right, now that we got some solid chord progressions down, why don't we start making some songs out of these, huh? I put together a free PDF that I'm calling my 3-step song starter, and it's designed to get you writing songs as quickly as possible. Starting a song is one of the most difficult parts of writing a song, period. And that's true for all skill levels, not just beginners. Thankfully, these steps are crazy, crazy easy to implement. And they're written in very simple language, and it's short. Super short. It's a 1-page PDF. That's how quickly I'm going to get you writing a song. It's gonna take like 2 minutes, 3 minutes. You're gonna read it and be like, oh, okay, I'm doing it already. Cool. Head to justwritemusic.com/songstarter to pick up my special gift to you. There's a link down in the doobly-doo. Thanks so much for watching and for hanging out with me today. Like, comment, and subscribe if you're a fan of the video. Hey, you know what you could also do is share this video, because if you look down there, there's probably like 2 views. Let's bring this up a notch. Let's get some more eyes on this stuff, huh? I'm Avi from justwritemusic.com, and don't forget to be awesome.